What's up, carp freaks? It's the height of summer and you join me at this amazing looking venue near Peterborough. It's a very exclusive venue where we've been given permission to fish. It's called the BP Syndicate. It's a place I've known about for quite a while but never fished it for myself, so I'm really excited for this session. I have done half a lap of the lake so far, and this place is like a labyrinth. What you can see behind me is just a small channel, a small section of the lake. There's little channels going off in every direction, back bays, nooks and crannies. There's paths leading in every direction. It's an amazing place. Haven't seen a great deal of fish so far, so we're going to carry on and hopefully we can find a fish or two. So I've been walking around for about 3 hours now, trying to find carp, and it's been quite tricky, to be honest, mainly because I've got lost a few times. This place is like an absolute maze, but I have seen a few fish, but they are mainly just individual fish on their own in the thick of the weed. That was until I came to this little spit here, and there are at least half a dozen fish in a quite a small area here. Every now and then I see a back poking up through the weed, so I say half a dozen. There's probably quite a few more there that I can't see fully. So feeling quite excited. I think it's time to go back to the van, get some kit and try and catch one. Now, because it's a really tight little swim where we are going, I'm not going to take all my kit down there. I've just got here what I think are the bare essentials needed to catch me a carp. I've just got rod reel, I've got my tackle box bucket here with a few floaters in and all the essential rig bits, landing net obviously, unhooking mat and a pair of waders. I think if we do hook a fish here, I think I'll have to get in the water to land it. So hopefully we'll find ourselves in that situation. Let's go. Well, we're ready to make the first cast, but the only way I'm going to be able to do this is if I get in the water. There's lots of trees and snags to my left, so I'm not able to cast from there. So I'm gonna have to wade around these trees and all these snags and get a hook bait in position. The fish are still there, not as many as there was earlier though. No, there is actually a few still there. Right, the tackle I'm using, I mean, you can see how dense the weed is here. It's pretty severe. So the tackle I'm using is beefed up, to say the least. I'm using a 10-foot, 3.5 pound test curve rod. Reel's loaded with 20-pound Fox Exocet line, and that goes straight through to a size 6 edges stiff rig beak point hook. Don't want to be using any controller floats, anything like that. Not with this weed. They just act as an anchor point to make it more difficult to land the fish. So I'm just using simple free lining tactics, nice and strong. So anything we hook, we'll be able to land. Right, let's go for it. Well, since I've taken to the water, understandably the fish have just dipped down below the weed slightly, but they haven't gone anywhere. They are still there. It's just the backs have just dipped down just beneath that weed. I've certainly not seen them moving away, they've just sank lower in the water. I can see 2 fish with the backs out the water still. But I'm just waiting just to see exactly where the rest of them are, just so I can plop this hook bait right on the nose. It's about 4 inches too short. I just managed to cast a free-lined floater in a really small hole in the weed where there was a fish sat. I just managed to tweak it in position so most of the line was lying on the weed itself, and just the hook bait was in the clear spot. Just got it in position, the fish has just come up, tried to take the floater but missed. That was proper heart in the mouth stuff, that was. Well, that didn't really go according to plan, that. I did have one fish come up and try and take the hook bait, but it missed. The problem is I'm having to use double floating pellet to give me enough weight to make the cast. When I land that cast just right, either just in a small hole in the weed, I mean, I'm trying to land it in holes about that big, but when I do get the cast just right, or it lands just past it and I can tease it back in, it's just making too much of a plop when it hits the water, the hook bait, and the fish are either sinking down or they're just moving into the next little hole in the weed, so it's not really working. Ideally, with that hook bait, I just want to be lowering it nice and stealthily onto a fish, but at the moment all the fish are in the middle here in the weed, so that isn't possible. So it's going to need a rethink. I'm going to get back onto terra firma and try and hatch another plan, I think. So after that failed attempt to try and catch one off the top in the weed, I've carried out a few more laps of the lake trying to find fish. But once again, I've only really found individual fish or 2 at the most. I'm told there's between 60 and 100 carp in this lake. It's hard to put a size on the lake itself, but I'm guessing between 6-7 acres. But because of the way it's made up with lots of little narrow channels and bays and nooks and crannies, it does seem a lot larger, and it takes ages to complete a full circuit. But the way I see the session going now is we're fishing for a bite. I mean, like I say, the fish are just swimming around in 1s or 2s, and I think nicking a bite will be a good result. So I've just dropped a little bit of kit in the swim just behind the van here. It's on one of these narrow channels, and the channel itself does sort of taper in. It's a bit of a bottleneck almost. There's a snaggy far margin, and I think it's a great place to set a little trap just to try and nick one bite. If fish move through, it'll put me in a great position to set a little ambush, and hopefully that's what we can do tonight. But in the meantime, I'm going to carry out a few more laps just to try and find more numbers of fish. But if not, we've always got this swim to fall back on. Well, I've just finished tying up a couple of rigs, and after speaking to Dave, the fishery owner, and a few of the regulars on here, everyone has said that the tench can be an absolute nightmare. So for my hook baits, I've gone with tiger nuts. I've just tied up 2 rigs. One's baited with a single creamed tiger, and the other one's baited with double small creamed tiger nuts. Because of the weed and the lilies and all the snags that are around, again, the tackle is pretty substantial. I'm using size 4 edges wide-gaped beaked point hooks, and they're tied to 25-pound Camotex semi-stiff. And these are going to be fished just below a simple lead clip setup, a bit of tubing to comply with the fishery rules, rig tubing, and that's going to be fished on 23-pound Exocet Transcarky mainline. So proper hit and hold stuff. It's going to be a bit hairy if we do hook one, but hopefully we will. I'm just about to lower the first rod in place now. In the past sort of 10-15 minutes it's actually looked quite promising. I've just seen a carp just in these pads just down to my right, close in, and there was a fish in that sort of snaggy area in front of me, just sort of rocked the water on the surface, so that there is fish in the area, or at least there's fish passing through the area. Right. Let's see how this goes. I've had a couple of little dummy casts first, just felt the lead down. There is a little bit of chod there, but there's one area in particular where the lead goes down nice and firm. So I've cast out there, put it in the clip, and now I'm going to do that with a baited rig. No, it landed soft. Try again. Oh, that went down with a proper crack. I'm happy with that. Probably took about 5 or 6 casts there. I mean, each cast was landing no more than 3 or 4 inches from one another. Just kept landing a bit soft, but that one went down with a proper thud. So yeah, confident with that one. So I'm just about to place my second rod, which is just on the opposite side of the spit to where the other rod's positioned. And I had noticed a few fish fizzing away on the edge of this really dense weed. I do think a lot of them are tench. But I've just taken to the water just about to see the holes in the weed a little bit more clearer. I couldn't really tell from up at the bank, so I've just waded out a little bit, a couple of rod lengths in the bank, and I've just seen a really small hole in the weed. I mean, we're talking about the size of an A4 piece of paper, small hole in the weed. So I'm just going to lower this rig in place. It's by no means clean, but the lead, I can feel the lead down to the bottom, so that's good enough for me. Once again, I'm just going to bait up with a few Odyssey XXX boilies. And just a few creamed tiger nuts as well. Just enough for a bite. Right, let's head back. Well, we're approaching dusk now, and the rods have been in place for about an hour. But I've already started to receive quite a few liners, especially on the first rod that I positioned. One of them was pretty savage, actually bobbing right the way to the top, tipped round and then sprung back. Part of me is now sat a little bit unsettled because I don't know if I've been picked up by a tension, it's dumped it in the weed, or it was actually a liner. I'm not sure. There was quite a bit of tench activity in the swim. I think there's tench activity all around the lake, to be honest. But so yeah, now I'm a little bit uneasy. So I'm having a quandary whether I risk repositioning the rod before it gets dark, or sit all night wondering whether it's sat in a load of weed. So we've got about 40 minutes before it's fully dark, so I guess I'll make a decision before nightfall. This is why I desperately wanted to fish this lake, because it holds some absolute jewels like this one. What an awesome looking fish. Proper prehistoric looking leany mirror. I'm absolutely blown away. After a fishless night, I woke up feeling a little bit deflated, just sat on my bed chair, and then the rod just smashed round. The fight was over in seconds. I was fishing locked up, and Alex didn't even have time to get the camera, mic me up and film the fight. It was in the net in just a few seconds. Oh, what can I say? The weight's irrelevant, but it weighs 23 pounds 9 ounces. But I mean, just look at it. It's just incredible. Absolutely over the moon with this fish. It's probably one of the oldest fish that I've ever caught. Everyone tells me these fish are true leanies, and looking at it, you certainly wouldn't argue. You can see how old they are with its wrinkly skin. It's just a special fish. It really is. Go on, mate. Off you go. Straight under all that weed. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm buzzing with that. Absolutely buzzing. We've literally only just slipped that fish back. The rod's been back in, 10 minutes and we're away again. It's right at the back of all these pads. I'm having to really give it some stick. There he is. There it comes. Right, try and keep his head up now while he's on the surface. Come on. Oh. I wasn't expecting a bite that quick after the disturbance of the last fish. I thought my chances were gone. Here he comes. Get in that net, get in that net. Yes! Oh, that's a result. It's another awesome looking mirror. Oh, that's a result. That is such a result. I can't believe it. Awesome. Right, let's the margins are pretty deep, so I'll stake the landing net out. He's going nowhere. Right, so we'll get the unhooking mat all sorted and we'll have a closer look at him. So here we are, second fish of the morning, and it's only been 10-15 minutes since I recast that rod. I really wasn't expecting to catch anything else, so this is a real bonus as far as I'm concerned. Lovely dark mirror again of about 15 pounds, and we've still got a few hours left of the session, so who knows, maybe I'm being greedy, but one more would always be appreciated. Celebratory brew. Well, last night I had a bit of a change of tactics. Not long after I cast out in the swim, I began to receive liners fairly quickly. But then I started doubting whether there were actually liners or whether it was tench picking up the tiger nut hook baits and dropping them in the weed. I had a couple of times where the bobbin would hit the top and the rod tip would bounce around a few times, it would shake, and the bobbin would drop back. And I had a niggling feeling that it was tench doing me. They are very finicky feeders, more so than carp, and they are experts at ditching rigs. Anyway, as it was getting dark, I decided to reel the rod in, and sure enough, it was in a big ball of weed, and the rig was just a mess. So I changed over to my ever faithful hinge stiff rig with a white Odyssey XXX pop-up. And that's the rig that's done the biz. It's done 2 bites, 2 fish. I'll show you it here in a little bit more detail. We have a boom section that's tied using I'm using a prototype hook link here at the moment, and that goes down to a doubled over section of 30 pound rigidity. A single strand is very stiff, but when it's doubled over, it is ultra stiff, and it almost creates an extension of the hook, and I think it's very difficult for the fish to deal with that. Once the sucker in, it's very hard for them to eject, and the hook holes are absolutely superb. That's tied to a size 5 edges stiff rig beaked hook, and the pop-up, I'm using the Odyssey XXX white pop-ups, but they have been given some serious pimpage. I have dampened them off with a little bit of liquid GLM extract. They're left to soak in that for 24, maybe 48 hours. Then when they've absorbed most of that liquid, but they're still tacky to the touch, I add a tablespoon of ground Himalayan rock salt and also a tablespoon of garlic powder. They result in a very, very pungent smelling pop-up, and they've just been working so well for me. And thankfully, they've also worked very well for me this session. Well, it's been around an hour since we slipped back that second fish, and I really have been trying to stick it out for a third, which was being a bit greedy, but temperatures have really started to climb now. It's forecast 26, 27 degrees, and in the past sort of 15 minutes or so, I've not really seen any fish in this area at all. So we've got about an hour of this session remaining. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pack everything away, put it in the back of the van, and just walk around with a rod and a net and a few essentials and see if we can just winkle one more out. Either I just have a feeling there must be a stalking opportunity or a floater opportunity somewhere, so I'm going to get reeled in and see if we can go and find a carp or two. Well, that is it. Our 24-hour session on the BP Syndicate is now up, and I really don't think it could have gone much better, if I'm honest. We did get off to a fairly slow start. We spent most of yesterday just walking around trying to find fish. In fact, it was 12 hours after I arrived here that we actually got set up in a swim. And then after a fishless night, I woke up this morning and I felt so down and dejected. I would have expected some sort of action, even if it was off a tench, and I felt really low. And then just a short while later, rod rattled off with an absolutely stunning looking old leany mirror. I've been speaking to a few of the syndicate members and they tell me it's one of the most desirable fish in the lake. In fact, one guy said it was #1 on his target list. So to catch that, first session on here, first time even seeing the place, I certainly got lucky there. And then to catch a second fish just a short while after that, it really was the icing on the cake. But that is it for now. I need to get on the road, but you can join us next month where we'll be fishing another very exclusive syndicate venue.